Hello everybody. Today we're going to be talking about the Lionel Trains Christmas Express HO gauge train set. So this train set cost about $366 on Amazon, and we picked it up a while back. So we're going to give it a review, a detailed look, and then we'll run it on our HO layout. So let's just quickly go over what comes in the set itself. So in the set itself, it comes with a 5-piece train set, which includes the locomotive, the tender, and 3 coaches that it tows. And as you can see, the coach right next to the locomotive has a kind of curved back, indicating it's the last coach in the line of coaches. So we'll take a closer look at that a little bit later on. Now the track it comes with is the Lionel Magna track. So this track here, we'll just show you quickly the ends of it and how it snaps together. Yeah. So the track itself makes the electrical connections not through the rails, but through some contacts, that are embedded right in the ends of the track. And then it just holds together with magnets. So the whole track layout connects that way. All right. It also came with a connector track to the AC adapter, and this is typical of these Lionel trains. Even the larger ones, they have this type of a setup here. And then the AC adapter plugs right into that piece of track. Like so. And then it all is operated through the remote control. We'll demo the remote control a little bit later on. This is a typical, kind of like the Lion Chief remote controls that have like the horn, the whistle, voice acting if it's a themed train for the most part, and then obviously forward and reverse. So that's not all the track, by the way. That's just representative of the pieces. It comes with some curved, straight track, and of course the connecting track that it connects to the AC adapter. Now today when we do our run, we're not going to be running it on this Lionel track. We'll run the locomotive and the rolling stock on our HO layout. So that's why we're kind of showing you the pieces here. So, all right, anyway, let's take a detailed look. Okay, so for a detailed look, we will start from the rear of the train and we'll move our way forward, ending off with the locomotive. So let's start with the observation coach. So this car here is unique to the rear of the train. It has this kind of circular back that we'll take a look at when we turn it. But it's got a very nice color scheme to it. We've got the black trucks on the bottom, some storage compartments in black. And then we have this striping effect of green, red, green, Christmas colors as the paint scheme, which is obviously very Christmassy. And then of course we have the white roof, which also kind of complements the Christmas theme. So these coaches here, there's no real detail inside. These are kind of fogged windows with shadowy silhouettes on them. And these cars do light up. So you'll see the shadows of the silhouettes will kind of be seen through the windows, which is cool. None of the detail here is functional, so we have doors on the ends, we have our ladders for stepping up into the coach. But again, nothing's functional. It's all plastic construction, except for the wheels. The wheels are metal because they make contact for the lighting on the inside. As far as some additional side detail here, we have these this little detail on the roof up here. I'm not sure what those would be, maybe vent work of some sort. So let's give it a turn. On the rear of the coach, there's again not much detail at all. It's basically just flat green plastic. There's a recessed doorway in here, and then a hint of a diaphragm around the back of the coach. And then we've got our knuckle coupler in the back. So the opposite side is basically a mirror image of the other side. There's not too much to add here. So we'll just take a good look, and then we'll continue to turn. On the rear of the observation coach, we have, again, ladders to step up. There you go, a little bit of a closer look there. Good. And we have a little veranda in the back to step out onto, to look out. The passengers would step out onto to look out, to see where they've been, I guess. In addition to this, we have a functional lamp at the end of the train. So that lights up, and we'll show you that when we take it on the run. And then you can barely see it, but there's a little sticker there that says the North Pole Central Lines. So that is that's the road name of this train. So yeah, and you can see it on the side of the coaches as well. So let's continue to turn. Let's give it one more spin, I guess. Yeah, you can see here North Pole Central Lines badging right there. Okay, so let's take a look at the roof. So the roof will be hard to see white on white here, but yeah, there's not a ton of detail here. There's a couple of raised features, probably some vent work here at the top, and then there's these little raised details here. Again, not exactly sure what that would be in real life, but yeah, there's a little bit of raised detail on the roof, which makes it interesting to look at. Okay, let's take a look at the bottom. Okay, at the bottom we got the metal wheels. They're dual axle trucks here, and you can see the contacts to the metal wheels there for the lighting. There's some storage compartments or maintenance compartments here underneath, and then a little bit of some mechanic work under here. It's not super detailed, but it does add a little element of detail to the bottom. And of course the bottom frame work and flooring is in black. And let's give it one more spin. And there you have it. Okay, so next up is the passenger coach. So the passenger coach has the same paint scheme as the observation coach. It's got the green, the red, and the green alternate paint scheme with the white accent striping above and below the windows. It's got the white roof with the vent work. This is about the same length as the observation coach. So the car's about 9.5 inches thereabouts. Maybe a tick over, or a tick over 9 inches. It has the North Pole Central Lines sticker on the side. Black plastic trucks, but metal wheels. This is a lighted coach. So you can see here it's got the fogged windows, the same as the observation coach. And the shadows that it casts from the lighting inside, is actually Santa's sleigh with some reindeer, a wreath, a snowman, a Christmas tree, and a present. So that's kind of Christmassy. We got some storage bins here, or maintenance bins. Yeah, none of the features on this are functional, so there's no, the doors don't open or anything like that. So anyway, all right, so let's give it a spin. Okay, so on the end here, there's really no detail to speak of. It's just a flat plastic green end here. The roof slopes down. There's a little gutter work molded into the plastic here, presumably, to keep the rain and snow off people who might be kind of stepping up into into the rear door there. There's a hint of a diaphragm, not much, but yeah, hint. And then there's a recessed door back there. Again, door's non-functional. Some step-up ladders, and then we've got the knuckle coupler here in the back. As we continue around, this side here is exactly the same as the opposite side. We've got the North Pole Central Lines badging on the side, and then the figures in the fogged windows are the exact same as the opposite side. So Santa and a sleigh, some reindeer, wreath, snowman, Christmas tree, and present. And the opposite end is a mirror image, or the exact same as the opposite end here. So there's not too much to add here. Knuckle coupler, recessed door, and a little bit of a diaphragm there. Okay, let's take a look at the top side. So the roof has pretty much the same detail as the observation coach. We've got some vent work at the top. There are some raised details here, vent work and things like that, and then a couple of 4 raised pieces here. I'm not exactly sure what those would be in real life, but they're on our coach. Let's take a look at the bottom. And the bottom is pretty much the same detail as the observation coach as well. We've got 4 kind of maintenance compartments or storage compartments, metal wheels, double axle trucks. You can see the contacts here for the lighting on the inside. Then we've got some metal, some framework here, simulated framework, and then the flooring and the hole underneath is black plastic. Okay, let's give it one more spin. Okay, looks good. Okay, so next up is the tender. So the tender, again, the paint scheme follows through. The primary color here is green. We've got a red striping across the tender with the North Pole Central Lines badging integrated into that stripe. So the thing about the North Pole Central Lines, I was waiting for a bigger representation of that. It actually looks a lot like the New York Central Railroad or Railway logo, so that's kind of cool. Also here we have 3-axle trucks, 2 3-axle trucks, so you can see 6 wheels on each side. Again, we have the wheels are metal because there's some contact to be made here. The tender does have some functionality that requires power that we'll go into in a second. We've got some rivet work here and some rivet work down the sides of the tender, so there is a fair amount of detail on this. So yeah, looks pretty good. Let's give it a spin. Okay, so looking at the rear, again, just a solid green color on the back here. A lot of rivet work, some handholds, a ladder to get up onto the back of the tender to do maintenance work or to fill the various components of that. There's a functioning light back here on the tender. Number 25 is the number of it, and then some bumper work here, hook and loop coupler on the back. So yeah, it's a pretty good amount of detail. So here's the opposite side. I don't think we need to go into too much detail here as it's pretty much a mirror image of the opposite side. But yeah, it's a fine looking tender. And then up front here, this is the end that comes in, that couples to the locomotive, and you can see here that it's a little post of a coupler here, so it just slides into a ring or a circular opening on like a kind of a tongue setup on the locomotive. Just slides in very easy. But there are these electrical contacts here. So the sound comes through the bottom of the tender, which we'll look at in just a second. So there's so the sound is the tender in the locomotive are electrically connected, and then the sound comes through the tender. Otherwise, we have some other detailing here. You know, we have a little platform here. I believe this would be the door that opens up for the coal to slip down into for the firemen to shovel it into the firebox. And then we get a little bit of patchwork here. So yeah, very nice. All right, let's look at the top. Okay, so let's look at the top of the tender. So the top of the tender has a coal load up here, kind of obviously a fake coal load, but it looks pretty good. I think the detail's pretty convincing. And then down here we have 3 hatches. I'm assuming that this is the type of tender that would have carried a water supply as well. So maybe that's what that is. So coal up front, water, or maybe there's more coal down there. I'm not really sure. If anybody knows the answer to that, leave it in the comments. Yeah, and then we've got some little details, some pipe work down here, which looks pretty good. So yeah, and some old rivet and bolt heads and things like that. You know. All right, let's take a look at the bottom. Okay, so on the bottom, as I said, these are 3-axle trucks, triple-axle trucks, however you want to say it. They're metal wheels because they have contact with the track, and you can see the little Bluetooth sticker there for the if you wanted to use the Lionel app for running your train. And then there's some small details, some ironwork and things like that. Now there's a speaker down here, if you can see that in the camera shot there. So that's where the sound comes from. And we're going to show you a demonstration of that a little bit later on, where we show there's bells, whistles, and voice acting work, which we'll demonstrate. Okay, so there's a couple switches on the bottom of this tender to be aware of. So you can turn the sound on and off. That's the bottom switch. There's just a sliding on-off switch. And then there's a remote track switch. So the remote switch is what you use if you are going to use the Lionel remote. That works when you're using the Lionel track with the Lionel remote. And then the other side is the track switch, which if you're going to run it like on like a generic HO layout like we're going to do later on, then you switch it over to track and you can use the power pack from your HO setup. So yeah, so that's the bottom of the tender. All right, let's give it one more spin. Okay, so saving the best for last, this is the North Pole Central Lines locomotive. So this is a 4-8-2 locomotive. So we have 4 wheels in the back, 8 drive wheels, and then 2 up front. The color scheme carries over from the rest of the train. We got the primary color here is green along the boiler, and then some of the other pieces are done in red, like the cab, the various steam dome, sand domes on the top are done in red. The piston is done in red, and the plow or cow catcher there is done in red as well. And then we have some silver on the tip of the boiler, not the tip, but the kind of the last quarter of that is in silver, and then we've got some silver here. Got a little bit of red pinstriping right along this decking here that kind of cascades down and ends right at the front by the plow there, cow catcher. The framework at the bottom is black down here, so we got the 2 axles down here have a black plastic, and then we've got all metal wheels here, of course, and we've got the linkage. I know all of these pieces have different technical names to them. I'm just collectively referring to them as connecting arms or that type of thing. So, but that's all metal, and it's quite detailed. It's actually, pretty nice. There's a lot of moving parts in there, which we'll see when we take it out on the layout. There's a lot of raised pipe work here along the boiler. Yeah, just a terrific amount of detail. A lot of rivet work on the cab, some ribbing around the boiler here raised up, the chimney, and some of the various pieces. So I think it looks great. So let's spin it around. Okay, so just looking straight into the cab, you can see that there's quite a bit of detail, molded into the cab casting here. So you get the firebox and all that stuff, some valve work and things. So yeah, that's some pretty good detail, I think. So let's move it back a little bit so we can get a bigger shot of that in the rear. Make sure we get every piece in sight. Yep, so we got the little arch roof here of the cab, and then here I'm just going to move this out of the way. We've got these are the electrical connectors, this little piece right here that plugs into the tender, but I just want to move it because you'll see here's the little coupling tongue where your tender pin goes like right through there. So yeah. And then you get some green ironwork here, but yeah, very nice looking locomotive so far. Let's continue to spin. So this side here is pretty much, again, a mirror image of the other side. I neglected to mention, even though it's fairly obvious, the engine number is number 25, and there was a 25 on the back of the tender. One thing I didn't mention was that the tender's length is about 5 inches, and the locomotive length is about 9 inches. 9 inches in length. So yeah, again, the same detail here, just wonderful linkage there, or connecting arms, steel wheels. It has this locomotive has a little bit of heft to it, so it's really nice. But again, color schemes and all that, yeah, just great. Okay, now looking up front here, we've got the front of the boiler done up in silver, and you can see all the nice bolt work around there, the hinges of the boiler hatch here. There's a functioning light built into the boiler hatch there, and a couple of these green ones aren't functional, but they're just painted on accents. And then we've got a nice little bell here. This is actually kind of cool. I just noticed that. It swings, it doesn't make a sound. The locomotive has sound effects, but this is not a functioning bell, but it does swing back and forth, and it looks like it's in brass, which is kind of cool. And then we've got the red cow catcher or plow, and then some deck work here, some ladder work going up onto the walkway. And as we look straight back, you can see that there are some venti looking type of slit windows here in the cabin. And Evan, I don't know if you can turn it, but there's a little numbering right on the side of the lamp there. I don't know if we can turn it and see it. Small detail, but if we can catch it in the camera, you'll see there's a little 25 right there on the side of the headlamp, which is, of course, the locomotive number. The road number, I guess. Okay, so let's continue around. All right, so now let's take a look at the top and the bottom. Okay, let's take a look at the top. So here, got quite a bit of detail up here. We have lots of, again, on the cab side, we have lots of rivet work and some raised detailing here, which is kind of cool. And then along the top, we have lots of, again, raised detail, some ribbing, some iron work here, pipe work, presumably. And then we've got the various domes, steam dome, sand dome. And as we move forward, we've got, again, on the silver painted side, lots of bolt work and so forth. And yeah, so it's got quite a bit of detail up there. It looks really great. Let's take a look at the bottom. Yeah, so the bottom doesn't have a lot of detailing, to represent the model, a model of a locomotive. It's pretty, That's pretty standard. There's a lot of screw work there in case you have to take it apart. We have a screw on the forward two wheels here, and then it slides to keep the action nice and smooth. It slides in a little groove there, and then pivots on this little screw here, and then the same thing back here. Well, no, this doesn't have the pivot, but it has the screw the whole track pivots on it, but it doesn't go in a groove. And then you can see the connector back here from below, and the connector coupler for the tender. Yeah, so looks great. Okay, let's give it one more spin. Okay, so here's the locomotive and the tender together. We'll give this a quick spin. All right, let's get it out on the layout and take it for a spin. Okay, so because we run this on our regular HO layout, we don't use the Lionel remote control, so we don't get any sound on our regular HO layout. So what we did here was we just set it up on a section of the Lionel track that comes with it, and we just wanted to give you a quick idea of what it sounds like and some of the capabilities of the remote control if you decide you use this on a regular Lionel HO track that came with the set versus just a generic HO layout. So as you can see here, this is the remote control layout, and you can hear it kind of huffing and puffing over there, just kind of sitting stationary, and you can see the remote control is on by the red light. So why don't we push some of the various buttons and we can listen to what the sounds are. Those are the horns. And then let's do the voice acting.
Merry Christmas!
Do it again.
Oh, it's almost Christmas. Turn that throttle. We can't be late. These packages are guaranteed for Christmas delivery. Let's be on our way. Let's get these presents delivered, and fast. These packages are guaranteed for Christmas delivery. Let's be on our way.
Okay, so as you can see, the kind of the voice acting just kind of rotates through a series of recorded sentences or phrases. So there's that. Okay, so let's back it up and then we'll run it across the track a little bit just so you get a sense of what the sound is like when the train is in motion.
For Christmas cheer, enough to last throughout the year. Make way for Christmas cheer.
All right, it all sounds good, all works really well. So yeah,